So the plan from now onwards is that I feed you with some more little tidbits, some principles of this, but it's mainly about going through all these layers and actually practicing the two-pointing. A couple of things I wanted to mention that came up in the break. What did you say to me again, Cynthia?
Reach out to grab the plate.
Oh yes, when at some point, some people are very intuitive, and if you are such a person, you will find a spot really quickly, or you will think, oh, I really want to go and put my hand actually on the body of the person, on a knee or on the shoulder or somewhere else. I start to teach just connecting with one hand on the shoulder and working with the ethereal part of the body, because most of us don't know each other, and some people might not feel comfortable if you straight away put their hand here or there or there. So and this is represented somewhere out here anyway. So if you work with somebody you know and you feel intuitively, I want to put my hand on here or on the head, feel free to do so if that person is happy with it. The other point is there is not just one point. This afternoon we ask for one particular point, but at the moment we are always just asking for a solution point, and there are many. There's never just one solution, there's lots and lots. And you don't have to go out here to feel it. I do it because sometimes it's easier when you start doing it to feel the difference then. If you're here and you're already there, you might not actually feel something is pushing against your hand, or you don't feel the tingling. That's why I start out here, but you don't have to. So you can... well, infinity is here, so to speak, so it's everywhere, yeah? It's all here. Just feel whatever is comfortable. As I say, I don't need to use my hands at all anymore, but I have convinced my mind this stuff is working and I don't need to feel it anymore. I can do it without. But it is a nice feeling. So that was one question. Then there was another one. Did you have a comment or a question? There was another question, or did I? Did any questions come up while you were doing it?
It's similar to what you were just talking about. With those points, the actual starting point.
Yeah.
You know, you've got that body around here. But before, I felt like my head needed to go way.
Yes.
And I was thinking, this is crazy. But, you know, because my brain is going, you need to be in sort of that distance.
Yeah. It's a perfect example again. Then now I know what you mentioned to me. It's a perfect example. Intuitively, you went way out there. Yeah? Intuitively, your heart, your soul, whatever. But then your brain kicked in and said, that can't be, it can't be out there. This is exactly what's happening. Something kicked in which told you to, this is silly, this doesn't work, I can't have to go out there. She told me it's somewhere here, so it must be somewhere here. Go with the first instinct. And the more you do it, the less your mind will actually say, oh, this can't be true, or, try something else, or you do it wrong. The ego is really good in telling us you do it wrong, because it's threatened by what we are doing, but we're not going into that, because that's another story.
And also, once I actually came into the body, I found I needed to stop for a long time. And you're saying that there's a nice sort of a feel-good place.
Yeah.
And I was quite happy to stay there, and I was sort of there for quite a while. I thought, well, that's sort of long enough. You need to keep moving. And then when I got close to the body, there was this little area. I wasn't really sure how close I should have been, or do I move my hand up, or do I move it down and move it back? Or that area, I didn't want to get too close to Caroline's body.
Yeah. As I say again, there are no guidelines, no, guidelines is wrong. There are no structures. There is no right or wrong. What you feel comfortable with, and obviously the partner you work with needs to be comfortable. Sometimes you feel, yes, you want to put your hand there, but the person needs to be comfortable with that. And if you caught one point at this stage, just leave it at that. And you had the point, and the more you practice, the more you will realize the sensation or the feeling. When we start, all of us, will think, oh, well, that person did this and I didn't do this, and why am I not moving? I can't feel anything, I can't feel a wave. Again, there's only your mind chatter telling you this is not working, or you start to worry, you want to do it right. This is your patterns. Just try to say, yep, I hear you, but I'm okay, go.
So is one point the hand on the shoulder or the person's thought?
No, when you are giving or transforming for the other person, because that's what you at this point are doing, the one point for you, the giver, is the connection with the person. That person thinks about their problem, and you just connect by connecting with the body. You could also connect by just the energy field. I just say at the beginning it's nicer, especially if somebody is trying to do it. One thing some people tend to do, because they want something to feel, and that happens automatically, they actually take somebody on the shoulder and then they really move them. You are moving them out. That happens also in your mind. It's not that the person wants to do that, or that happens in your mind too. So just relax the hand on it. It's not about making something work, it's just the connection. And the other point, don't worry about where it is or whether you feel it. It's always there. It works. Even if you don't feel a thing, it always works by your thoughts. Only by having the intention to make this flow again. That's the only thing it needs to work.
So going back to what I was saying before, when I was out physically, and I thought that was like too far.
Yep.
And then I got to that point and it felt really good. At that stage, that was those 2 points actually connecting.
As soon as you feel something, yeah.
I was a long way away from him.
Yes, yep. And again, quantum physics is whatever I experience in this physical body is having another level on my emotional level, and on here and on here. So my etheric body, meaning my energy body around me, is an imprint of what I feel on my body. So you don't need to touch me in order to connect with that thing.
You were saying to keep your eyes open, but I
Yeah.
naturally want to close my eyes. Is that...
When we close our eyes, we tend to go into the 3D world. And all of a sudden, some of your patterns, some of your fantasies, some of whatever can influence the work you're doing. We are trying to keep the eyes open. If you feel you only can do it when you're closed, then that's fine. But by keeping them open, you stay here and you stay focused just on feeling the energy instead of... there's a huge difference between closing your eyes and having them open and defocusing them. As soon as you close your eyes, you basically tell your body that you go into the state between waking and sleeping. And that's a really interesting kind of world where lots of things can come up. You don't want that to happen when you work with somebody. Yeah, so I try to keep it open. And the other thing is, I learned that recently too. Just notice it when you have your eyes down and you look to the right on the right side. That's when you look towards the future. If you look towards the left, you look into the past. So try to look to the right side too. It's another NLP kind of trick to be more open to what can happen.
And the person receiving needs to keep their eyes open too?
They don't need to. I personally would prefer that they do, because when I receive it and I defocus and I'm open, I'm also experiencing the wave a lot more than if I close my eyes, because if I close my eyes, I can imagine everything to happen. And sometimes I'm again in that world where fantasy is happening, but not this reality. But the receiver is not such a big problem or issue, but the one who is giving it should keep their eye open. Again, if you feel you always want to do it with closed eyes, there's no one telling you, no, you can't do this, then do it. But I explained to you why I would prefer you to keep your eyes open. There's a reason for it. Try it at least. Any other questions? Okay, what we will be doing is we're going through emotions, belief systems. We're transforming now a lot of the things. In between, I go into some principles. And by this afternoon, we have learned how to transform our blockages. The cool thing with the two-pointing is then we can also integrate stuff. We are not just making the energy flow, we are then choosing new things to replace or resources we need in order to move forward, and we can integrate that. And the other thing I forgot to mention is the two-pointing method is not based on any philosophy or principle or religion or anything. So it's totally integration? Inclusive, that's the word. It's totally inclusive. Everybody can do it. You don't have to have a certain belief set in order to apply this. Or if you have a belief set, you can still apply this. If you are a practitioner here, you can always apply it with what you do already. It's not replacing that. If you are a massage therapist or you are a Reiki healer or Bound therapist, you can apply it with that. What it does, it speeds the process up quite a bit. So it's not replacing anything, and it's very inclusive. That's why another reason why I really like it. Okay, so you focus again on your two things, which you are now working on. Then I would like you to find a partner, and I take somebody up the front here. Would you like to come? And the others find a partner, and I guide you through the first. I'll guide you through emotions now. We are working with emotions. So just get up and find a partner, and then it's easier. Get your body a bit to get warm. So we say it now every single time, but we wouldn't need to go into specifically alpha today, but we do it just so your brain learns how the process works. So you basically ask your person what problem they have or the issue they want to work on. Then you connect with them, and in your mind you state mental level alpha. One thing I forgot to mention is, but you don't have to mention that, it's just a reminder to all of us, everything we are working on this level here, everything is light and information, and that's the space I call nothingness. Or what quantum physicists see as the origin of creation. Everything is light and information. So I wrote that down there for people who need a little bit of a guideline. First you state every mental level alpha, breathe out so you are in that space. Then you can, but you don't have to, remember everything is light and information. And now you're asking a question. And the question is, she is thinking of whatever it is, and I ask in my head, are there any emotions attached to this? And then you try to find a point. If you find there is a point, and finding is meaning you feel a tingling, you feel a pressure again, you feel some sensation. Some people, by the way, see colors or have words popping up. So if you are one of those people, as soon as you see something like that, that means yes, there is an emotion attached to it. And then you state in your mind again, transformed or dissolved. Focus on both points, wait until this energy wave is going through, and that's it. So the question is, yes?
And it's past tense, transformed.
Transformed.
Not dissolve or transform.
No, because we are grateful that this is already been resolved. Remembering in quantum physics, there is no past, present and future, it's all one. So in our linear thinking, here in the future, this is already been resolved, and we are grateful for that. And that's why we state it as past tense, again, our linear thinking. So we know already, this is already gone. That's another reason why when we work, when we have people who are sick, we look at them and think about them as healthy and not as sick. because what we put our attention to is increasing. So if you have somebody who is unwell, think of them and see them as healthy and in a beautiful state, instead of being sorry for them that they are so unwell.
So when the person's thinking
Yeah.
about, should they think of, like when you do
Yeah.
positive affirmation, you talk in the positive all the time.
Yes.
Should we think of our thing in a positive transformed state, or do we?
No.
what
You
we-
think about, this guy bugs me, or this shoulder hurts me, or I'm frustrated, I can't pay my bills, or any of this. This is what you think.
Mhm.
Only for a brief moment, until I connected with you and have it.
Right.
And then you can let it go.
Right. Okay.
You're not thinking, I wish I had, or I wish I would be. We are not trying to think about what we want. Because when you think about the quote from Albert Einstein again, we cannot solve the problems of today's world with the same thought processes that created them. If you, with your state where you are right now, remember we all have these limiting beliefs. If you think now in that limiting space about a solution, you only have a limiting solution out of that limiting belief set. And very often that's not enough for what you want. You want to change, you want to open, you want to connect with real long-lasting solutions which come from your soul or your spirit. So that's why we are not saying, if you think the solution is you win $1 million tomorrow, that's very limiting. There are plenty of other solutions.
25 million.
Yeah, exactly. There's plenty of other stuff. So please don't think about what you want. Think about what bugs you right now.
So you were saying think of two different things and then work on them. Are we thinking of those two things for the whole day, or was one thing each time?
No, one thing each time. You think about one thing now,
Could be two
and
things over the whole day.
no, I would like the two thing, and you just switch between them. And the reason for that is because I want you to transform majorly on them today. So you will have a result by tonight or by tomorrow. You will feel something has shifted. That's why I would like you to focus on two things. Yeah? And one time, not two at the same time, one now, and with the next person you choose another one. Clear so far? Good. Then connect with your person. Ask them to think about whatever it is. And in your head, you're thinking mental level alpha, everything is light and information, go in your heart, and then you're asking, are there any emotions related to this issue? And then you try to find with your other hand whether there is a resonance or a solution point. And if you feel it, you then in your mind state transformed or dissolved.
So I also feel incredible sort of intensity around my heart.
Yeah.
That sort of zings, the heart chakra seems to pretty zing. It did before when I was doing it before. I didn't actually feel any waves. I just felt intensity
Yes.
around there.
Yes, yeah, that's fine too.
Yeah.
I felt something here and here. And because we are all connected with each other, and once you do this for a while, I mean, I started to trust now when this comes up. I fear sometimes where your blockages are, or what you are feeling and experiencing. But the good thing is, and it's another thing I have to mention, I'm not taking on, like when you do energy work, you're not, sometimes you pick that stuff up. I'm not. I only feel it and then it goes. That's why I can do this work all day round and never get tired. And my yawning, by the way, is my form of release. I'm not tired. So don't think I'm bored or anything. It's just...
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Did you feel something?
Yeah, no, I did, but it's as I said, it's that intensity in the chakra, particularly in the throat and the heart there.
Yeah.
And I felt a sort of a softening. I wouldn't say there was a wave, but there was a softening, sort of like a sense of relaxation.
Well, at some point I noticed that your hands were going out, and I felt that you were breathing out, and I felt that too. That's because the tense part could be resistance. And resistance not from your conscious mind, you want this, but from your subconscious belief systems. They feel threatened, and at some point they said, no, we're not going there. So that's something, remind me later on, we have to work through. If we feel we're not getting anywhere, one of the points is there any resistance to this? And then you just 2-point that away.
Right, okay.
Yeah. It's all, we are not working with here, we are working with this subconscious level, and we have no idea what's coming up, and it will come up.
That's interesting.
But as soon as it does come up, 2-point. And I explained it a bit this afternoon how things happen when we work on it on a daily basis, and what will likely be happening to us. But I think it's wonderful. And you see already after the first time people's faces starting to relax more. If we all need to do a lot more just being and being in that space. I just love being in that space. Right.
I think quite often it's hard to know for people when they're working together.
Yeah.
Because we're also unsure of what we're.
Yeah, but that's absolutely fine. I 2-pointed all this
when
before.
we're actually finished.
Yes.
You know, it's like a sense of the person that's 2-pointing must have a sense of when they feel that they're finished. Or
that depends again on how intuitive they are. At the beginning, first of all, at the beginning you do it with your head. And the head is then saying, is it finished? Is it not? As soon as you manage to do it from your heart and only just play, you know when it's finished. Kathleen is really good. You should work with her next time, because she can tell you, done. My yawning usually represents done, and it sometimes starts before I even touch you. But it's fine. By this afternoon you will be certain.
But then, in our situation like this, it's up to the person who's doing the 2-pointing to make a decision when it's done.
Yeah, but you can say something. You can say it's done.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, you can. You can talk the whole time. You don't have to be completely quiet. And if you feel it's done, you just say it's done.
Right,
You don't have to stand there and wait.
Politely.
Yeah. Can you all find somebody else? And then we are repeating this one, and this time you ask that question 3 times. So you're asking 3 times. I just go through this with you to show you, to make your brain understand this is how the process works, like how to walk, basically. By this afternoon, I teach you how we do this all in one go. But first, it's only practice. And when you are later on realizing you have actually a huge issue with a particular emotion, you can then just work on the emotion. Or when you feel there's a belief which is blocking me or not making me forward, you can work on that. I'll show you this afternoon how we work in one go with the whole lot. But in order for you to start the walking, we do going through this step by step.
So we work on the same 2 things.
Yes.
So we're working through the emotions on something.
Yes.
And the beliefs.
Exactly. So find another partner and then do exactly the same, and then you ask 3 times 4 emotions. You, in your mind, you just state mental level alpha, and then everything is light and information. And then you try to go into your heart. No, you don't try, you do. And by the way, when I say go in your heart, I had huge difficulties at the beginning to do that. I thought, how do I go in my heart? Think of something that makes you just instantly smile. For me, it's dolphins. I just have to think about dolphins, and straight away I have this coming through my body. If it's your child, if it's a kitten, if it's a color, doesn't matter. Something which makes you feel, and then be grateful that this is already being resolved.
Catrin, if you wrote it on the board, I don't know if anyone else would find it helpful, but I would if I could quickly think.
I wrote it on that piece of paper there.
Okay.
If you want to go closer there, it's written down there for people who like to look at it. And then you ask, are there any emotions related to this issue? And then you try to find the point, transform it, and then you ask again. And you do that 3 times, and then you switch.
Do the asking the questions.
Yes, you ask, yeah. Once the question, you only ask again, are there any emotions? You don't have to repeat the process from the beginning again. You just want to...
So there's potential, there's layers that you're...
There's definitely layers, and there's different emotions. So you could ask that 50 times and you find a resonance point, but for practice purposes, we just do 3. That's enough. And you can breathe, please. And you can also talk. You don't have to be so quiet. I don't even hear any breathing. Cynthia, remember the story about the truck driver who is in the truck believing it's totally freezing and that's why he dies? So you just now think, I'm so hot, it is so bloody warm in here.
So if I keel over, it's going to be...
Okay, that was good. What I really like when we start doing the practical stuff is I see changes in body language, I see changes in faces, and all this talking starts happening. And what usually happens is I hear a lot of, oh, I don't actually know, what was it again I need to do, and I couldn't feel it. And what comes up is your belief patterns. Basically, you have been taught at school a certain way how things work, and you think you have to do it right. This is what we always learn, we have to do it right. We are not taught we can actually make mistakes. And with this work, you can't make any mistakes, and everything you are doing is always working. So I encourage you to really open up and trust and play. Just trust and play. We had an interesting conversation over there, and I think that's quite a good key, and we work on something in the next thing. We had, or maybe Cynthia, you would like to raise that question again, and I then answer. Do you, or you don't want that?
No, it's okay. I want that.
Yeah? Is it on, Richard? Oh yes. That was your role and I took it. Sorry. Thanks, Glenn. Did we destroy something? All good?
I think it's good.
We didn't destroy anything. Cynthia.
I knew this wasn't a good idea.
You created that.
I'm very powerful.
Yeah.
My question was, if you think you have a good self-image and that you had a good childhood and you feel like you have really no right to complain, and I was just saying, how do you identify what the problem is if you feel that good about things?
Yes. And I answer to that what we consciously think. When you remember again the circle and the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Consciously, we can think, yes, I am a happy person, I am confident, all the good things are happening to me, my self-image is really good, and all of a sudden something like this is happening to you. The reason for that is your subconscious mind might hold a complete different belief to what you think you do. Because it's, the first self-image is created when you are so little. You don't even have a recollection of what you were thinking. You don't know. If I would ask you today, what are your belief systems, you wouldn't be able to tell me because you don't know with your conscious mind. And I said to Cynthia, one way of figuring that out, but I'm not an expert on how it works, but I do know it works, is asking your body with kinesiology. If you ask yourself the question, the answers might not come up the ones you want to hear, but your body will never lie. So if you make a statement, are you familiar with this muscle testing? So if you make a statement, I think I'm awesome, or I think I'm beautiful, your body will tell you whether you really believe that, and with really I mean whether you believe that in your subconscious mind or not. So you experience something and say, this can't really be a mirror of my belief systems. I don't believe that. At some point, somewhere in your subconscious mind, you do. And that's why it's coming up. So thank you for that question, which basically brings me to one of the concepts is that everything you experience in your life is just a mirror image of what you project out there. And with projection, I mean you have certain belief systems, and we are talking now about the ones in your subconscious mind. And out of those, as you remember, we are putting out actions and we are acting in certain ways, which will prove us that we are right. So the reaction you get from your outside world is just a mirror of you, what you are putting out there. And I experienced that big time myself. I was quite an angry teenager, really angry. I hated people. The only thing I liked was animals and nature, but I couldn't deal with any people. And my dad taught me to be extremely direct, and that basically every interaction with humans is part of a confrontation. That's what I picked up from him. Because I didn't trust anybody. So when I had a conversation, it was always, what do they want from me? And I had to prove I'm right. This is another really big one. So I had lots of fights, lots of negative experiences with people. I had lots of people in my face who wanted to argue with me and who pushed my buttons. When I came to New Zealand, I noticed that lots of people were crying when they talked to me. And I was like, what's wrong with them? Because I was communicating in the way I was brought up to communicate. And there was pride, yeah, you would consider it rude and abrupt here in New Zealand. Where I was brought up, it was quite normal. But that was really like a slash into my face. I thought somehow something I have to change, because I can't live in this country and just have people crying all the time. So then after discovering those patterns, I changed my way how I communicate, and I am hardly ever experiencing people anymore who want to argue with me. And it's not because they have lost their appetite for arguments. It's just I don't attract those kinds of people anymore. It's not my patterns anymore. And if there is a moment And there is one area in my life, it has to do with soccer, where I probably still have those emotions attached and sometimes discover people. I instantly know now, okay, here we go. This is another one of my patterns, and I'm not falling for it, so I'm not getting into that argument. But it's sometimes still coming up, especially in the area where I feel I have to be right. They are wrong. So that's another way of realizing when we were brought up thinking, if I have a partner and that relationship is not working, he needs to change. And I tried to change my ex-husband. It's never gonna work. If I see him as the mirror image of what my belief systems are and what I project out there, the only way I can change him is by... Yes, exactly. And you will notice that when you start working on yourself, everything around you is having, you have an impact on everything around you because we are all interconnected and everything else is changing. And some people might all of a sudden disappear, and some people you think change, but it's the way you respond to them that has changed, and that makes them changing too. So never blame anybody else. It's never the government, it's never the ex-partner, it's never the partner. It's usually always ourselves. And when we are ready to take that responsibility and say, I am responsible for my life and I am responsible for everything that happens, it makes quite a huge difference too. Less arguments too. You can blame yourself. So, I would like now to work on two things at the same time. When we talk about those belief systems with the subconscious mind, what sometimes starts to happen when you are starting with the two-pointing is that there is something within you, not consciously, subconsciously, which resists that change. I don't want that. I feel threatened by it. So you want to two-point, but somehow you feel there is a huge block and I can't feel anything and it's not going through. That is resistance coming up. And again, it has to do with belief patterns. In order to test that, we do exactly the same as we do with the question with emotions. We are just asking the questions. Is there any resistance to this issue being resolved? And obviously, consciously, you would think, of course I want to change this. I'm tired of this. But there is something in here which says, no, you don't want to. Because, as an example, if somebody is, and I use my sister because then it's less threatening for others. My sister has cancer. And from my perspective, I can see that was her last resort to get attention from her partner. She is together with him since she is 15 years old. She has asked him 3 times to marry him. He has refused, but they are still together. And she's my twin sister, the same age. She does everything always for him, and she never really gets the attention and the love from him she wants. So the only way for her, obviously, again, it's not happening on a conscious level because nobody wants to have cancer consciously. On a subconscious level, that's the only way. If she is sick, really sick, he has to take care of her. He has to give her attention. And it's exactly what's happening. Very sad that one has to retrieve to something like this. But so if she would two-point, and she's not open to any of this, and I tried to work with her soul, but that wasn't working either. And I'm too close to her. I have too much of an interest in it. This work needs to be done without any vested interest, but I have. So if I would work with her, this part in her, which attracted this cancer in order to get the love and attention, would resist for this change to happen, because it would mean for her, she wouldn't get the attention anymore. And I'm not saying everybody who is getting sick has a need for attention, yeah? Please don't get me wrong. This is my interpretation and explaining to you why there is a resistance, because there is a bigger need on one side than there is the openness to the solution on the other side.
And often in people in situations that they know it's not right for them, but they don't want to get out of it because the fear of the unknown is even
All that, yes, big time. Big time. So again, it's something obviously not happening on a conscious level, but there is on this really root level a huge need, and I call this cry for love, and that's dominant. And again, because they really want this, they can't focus on other solutions because they can't see them, and that's why she is resisting. That's how resistance can come up, and we just 2-point the resistance again away. We want resistance to change into being open. So we will do that now and we do 2 at the same time because I want to cover all the transformation before lunch.
So you want us to think about both of our thoughts at the same time, both of our issues or problems?
No, again, always one we work now with beliefs and with resistance. I have to write down resistance here. No, belief and resistance, because similar to these affirmations, if you 2-point the whole time on something, but inside there is a much stronger belief, emotion attached, which says, no, I don't want this, I don't want this, you can 2-point for hours and hours and nothing will change. So that's why this just came up through this. That's why we do the resistance, to clear that way so that your soul or spirit or anything, that inner child, is not threatened by the change but open to change.
Another question, can you 2-point with somebody that doesn't know what you're doing? Like if someone has a problem,
Yep.
they can think about it and you can do it, and you don't need to explain to them.
No. You can do that, and the beauty with this is I've worked with lots and lots of people now, and the ones who it has to do with trust. If somebody is open and just trusts you, and I had that with plenty of people who were not interested in knowing any of this, they just say, yes, please do it. They had sometimes the fastest results, and mainly only because they trusted me and they were open to changes to happen. And you don't need to know any of this in order for this to work.
But isn't it true, like you said, if you're really close to somebody, it might not work?
That's the other side. If you are with children, that's a biggie, for example. When I started this work and things came up with my kids, of course, for your kids, you want them to get better or healthier or something. So if you are working with somebody and you have in your head a little desired outcome, which is defined, not an open one, a defined one, that's probably not going to work. But if it's just a general 2-pointing, I actually encourage you to work with as many people as come your way and are open to this, because the more you practice, the more you transform too. When you gift it to somebody, I call this gifting too, you transform it at the same time. So you're never just giving it to that person, you always transform any of the issues you resonate with on that deeper level. You transform at the same time. So you can't do yourself a bigger favor than finding lots of people who want to have it. And you always gift yourself at the same time.
And do you never ask what the problem is? You never.
Nope.
They never want to say.
Well, even if people want to say, I don't really want to know. It's not important. I mean, if it's a close friend and they want to share something, that's fine. But usually, I don't want to know. The other thing to understand too is we are not energy workers, as I explained. We are shifting or facilitating the process of energy to shift, but you are not working with that energy. When you are, for example, a person who does real energy work, sometimes they pick up the energies from their people they work with, and then you feel bogged down or you feel it. It's not going to happen here. You're not picking it up. You can feel, if you're intuitive, and I 2-point, I sometimes feel where that person has issues in their body, or I see or sense something, but I'm not picking it up and then dragging it with me. That's another beauty of this, is you don't have to get worried that you get sick because you 2-point so many people who are all not very well or have issues.
So just on that thing, if you know somebody is having problems in their life or are unwell or whatever,
yeah,
and you say to them, I could do a little you've obviously got to get them to think about that, but how do they think about it? I mean, for them, you've been explaining to us how we should think about that.
Yeah.
Do we just say, just focus on your illness or on your issue, or how will they know what that issue is?
Well, that's if you think they have a problem, it's one thing. If somebody has a problem, they know exactly what it is, and they are very happy to identify that. But if your perception only means you think they have a problem, but they are totally unaware of that.
I understand that,
yeah.
but I'm just thinking,
if they are aware of it,
identified they've got a problem.
They have, yeah.
But they might. So yeah, okay.
So you just ask them to think about the problem.
I've got a problem. My boyfriend's always running off with other women.
Yep, that's a pattern. Very, very.
So that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem they perceive, but that's not actually the problem.
No, but you don't need to explain any of this.
So they just have to think of that problem.
Yes, they think.
Literally as it is.
Yes, as literal as it is. As easy as, I have pain in my shoulder. That's as far as they have to go, no further. Yeah. You know more now about the whole background and stuff, but that's all not relevant to you shifting this. And in regards to children, my girls have done the course themselves. By the way, 5 and 6 year olds can do this stuff, and they actually do it really well because they don't have these preconceived ideas. My kids are very open, even my son is now open to receiving it. But if they are not, or if there is something where I'm really, I feel I need to do something there, work on yourself, because your children are only a projection of a perception of what you project out there. And they are connected with you. So if your children experience something which you are unhappy with, or you worry about, or you really don't like, it's something within you. And so you work on yourself. You don't actually have to work on them, and then see what happens. Well, we go into working with others and working with people in the distance and working on ourselves in this afternoon. So it's all possible. Okay, I know everybody is getting a bit hungry or something. I want to get you up again, though. We want to now do again, and you don't have to go into the mental level alpha and stuff because you're still in there. Just ask the question. The first question is, are there any limiting beliefs related to this issue? And you do that 3 times, and then you ask, is there any resistance to dissolving this issue? And you do that 3 times.
So when you say, just to reassure, I'm saying, when you say 3 times, you go through the thing of asking that and doing the
yes.
thing,
yeah.
Asking it again, doing it again, asking, right.
Yes.
So
sorry.
Say the questions again. Are there any beliefs?
Are there any limiting beliefs related to this issue? And is there any resistance to resolve this issue?
With this, we're doing it 3 times. I'm thinking of something I've got in my head.
Yeah.
I've got lots of beliefs and probably a lot of resistance with it. And so would say the first time I'm giving that 2-point, am I actually being cleared of those beliefs, being their resistance before there's that transformation, or there's...
Okay, we are working in layers. It's like an onion. Of course, there's plenty of beliefs, but there's also, even if it's only one belief, that belief has layers too. So when we are clearing really strong and very old beliefs, it will take us more than just 1 2-pointer to get that cleared. We are only every day, when you're 2-pointing, you are transforming and dissolving only everything you can do today, and your soul or your spirit is happy for you to let go of today. So if I transform whatever partner issues or money issues today, that doesn't mean by tomorrow they are gone. It only means the layer I was happy, or my soul was happy to let go of, has been transformed today. And you need to do it again and again and again. Yeah? So it's not one thing and then that would be magic. And it could happen, but our belief systems will not allow that yet.
Sorry, another question.
Yeah.
When we do this, and one of the times I did it, words were popping into my head. Do you generally say the words, or do you keep them to yourself, or do you tell them afterwards, or?
When you were working with somebody, something popped in your head. Okay, that depends on the partner. I would never just blurb it all out. I would ask, something came up in my head. Do you want to hear it?
Even if it's just one word.
Yeah. Because it could have a meaning for that person. But ask beforehand, do you want to hear it or not?
Even when it's happening to you, like when I was happening to me, love, love, love kept popping into my head.
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of the thing that I was trying to
That's fine. That's fine.
So
Yep. Because at the end of the day, it's only love or cry for love. So if you can work on that level, perfect. If you don't have to worry about any of the other stuff anymore. So whatever comes up is okay. But I would only share it with the other person if they are open to it. Any more questions? No? Come on, get up then. Find a new partner, please. And this time, go right into asking the questions. Don't do the first part, and we'll just ask, are there any beliefs related to this issue? And then you ask that 3 times and transform it 3 times. And then you ask, is there any resistance for this issue to be resolved? And then you do it 3 times. And it may be that after number 2, you don't have a resonance point anymore. That's fine, and you just move on. Can we meet back like really shortly? I mean, you don't need a full hour lunch? No? Can we meet back at